thoughts on Pluto?
Like, I mean, it's not a planet, first of all. To anyone who's still fighting that fight, it's not a planet. It's too small.
Oh, okay, hold on. For 1 second, I'll let you finish, but let me stop you right there. So I purposely didn't specify, but I was curious whether or not you were gonna assume I was talking about the interstellar body or Mickey's dog, and you went with...
We talked about that before.
Well, we did, but just his relationship to Goofy, not just him in general. But okay, yeah, go ahead. Continue with your talk on Pluto.
It's not a planet. It's too little.
Okay.
That's all there is to it.
I mean, I guess that's fine, but I don't know how you just categorize something differently after it's been something for so long.
Because they made new discoveries and found that Pluto is not a unique part of our solar system. It is one of many, and it doesn't make sense to classify it as something different from everything else that is similar to it. That's why.
I don't know.
It's pretty simple, actually. They didn't just arbitrarily decide that. Pluto was found pretty early in astronomy history. Then they found out we have an entire fucking ring of rocks surrounding our solar system. And hey, there's a bunch of fucking things that are exactly like Pluto out there. Some of them bigger than Pluto. Are all of these planets? The answer is no, because Pluto isn't a planet either.
Okay, but should we have added planets? Is that a real thing?
What?
Should we have added more planets instead of saying Pluto's not a planet? Should we have said, look, we just discovered more planets?
No, absolutely not, because then the definition of planet becomes too broad.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. It was just something, honestly, last time we had... I understand where you're coming from. But I don't think you understand just how many Pluto-like objects there are out there. There are millions in our solar system alone. That's a lot.
It is a lot, which is why it wouldn't really make sense to classify all of them as planets. You know, we live in a solar system that has 8 planets, not 1,000,008, you know? Right.
All right, fair enough. Yeah, no, when we had the other Pluto debate, I thought I'd bring this up just to see where you went with it. Because you, in that previous discussion about Pluto and Goofy, I said something was goofy, and you thought I was talking about the Disney character.
Were you not? You were originally bringing up the planet?
No. When we talked before, and I had said something was goofy, and you thought I was talking about the Disney character. And so I just wondered where you would go if I just said Pluto. I didn't know if you'd instantly go Disney character.
No, I figured you were talking about the whole is it a planet debate, and it's kind of a stupid debate.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, it's I was just curious your opinion. I know you're a big space guy.
I'm a big fan of space, and I don't think science has done a good job of explaining why Pluto's classification as a planet was removed. It wasn't a sudden decision. It was there's kind of a lot of these. Maybe they shouldn't all be planets kind of decision.
Yeah, because, I mean, for someone who has literally not researched it other than, like, what I heard on the news when that all was a thing, basically they're just like, yeah, we've decided it's a little bit too small to be a planet, so we're going to call it a dwarf planet. And that was
that is technically correct, but it wasn't Pluto specifically. It was a large number of dwarf planets none of which were really large enough to be considered a planet.
Okay, that's fair. That's good.
I mean, Jupiter has moons that are larger than Pluto.
No, I mean that's good. That's very informative.
There you go. You learned something today, folks.
We did. We all did. One of my coworkers started listening to the podcast.
I hope they die.
Oh, wow, man. That's real harsh. No, I was talking with him, or I like sent a text to him over the weekend because we had been talking about someone from one of my accounts, and I had told a story about her previously on the podcast, and so I sent him like a clip of it, or I sent him the link and told him to go to like whatever timestamp it was. And then he just started listening to yesterday's episode. And we were kind of talking about it today. I think he could be a lot of fun to have on. He's a goofy guy, so maybe at some point we can do that. But yeah, shout out to Brian. Thanks for listening.
Hey, Brian. I hope you die.
Well, that is still rude as fuck.
Well,
doesn't get any less rude.
Suck it. Suck it.
Oh, if you guys are listening to us on Spotify or even Apple, still give us a rating if you haven't already, please.
Do it or I'll kill you along with Brian.
Yeah, apparently we're just going to kill Brian. That's just going to be the theme for today.
Just like Family Guy, and then we'll bring him back to life.
Right. Oh God. Yeah, we previously talked about
but only after somebody has gotten a dumbass tattoo about it.
Yeah. Oh man, I was at Target today. Do you know, is there a new like Kirby game coming out, or did one just come out recently?
Yes.
Okay, that would make sense. I was going into Target and you know how they have those like giant red cement balls out in front of the store?
Yeah.
They had like a cover over each one of them that was Kirby.
Oh, that's cute. The game's whole gimmick is that instead of like, you know, Kirby always sucks up and swallows shit, right?
Yeah.
Well, in this new game, they added a new thing where he can like suck up really big things, but instead of swallowing them, he just kind of coats them.
Oh.
So that's a reference to that new mechanic.
Gotcha. Okay. Right on. Yeah, I saw that today, and I know we've previously talked about Kirby and his human feet.
Which he definitely has.
Fairly certain, yeah. I mean,
what else would he have under there, really?
I mean, I really think he just has like the little triangles, like his hands.
No, he has 5 toes.
What?
Each of them jointed.
What? Oh, see, what if each of his toes are little triangles?
Somehow that's worse.
I don't know. Human feet on that thing is terrifying. But whatever, you know my foot thing, so it is what it is.
Your foot fetish?
No, let's not call it that. Nope, definitely not a foot fetish. Phobia.
It's kind of a foot fetish.
It's more of a phobia. I don't know. But I'm not really afraid of feet. They just really, really, really gross me out.
Maybe you would like them more if you started sucking on them.
No. We're done. We're not talking about it. That's it. We're done.
Just to see. You don't know if you like it if you haven't tried it.
No. We're
Get
not.
a tongue around that big toe.
Nope. We're not talking about this. Let's talk about something else.
Swirl it around your mouth. Maybe get some like.
How's your new video coming along?
Joe Mama.
Ugh. Your mama.
You know what? We'll get to that. I have a couple other things I want to talk about that are going to be related to that.
Okay.
But won't immediately feel related to that.
Okay. All right. Right on.
First of all,
motherfucker.
You
hold on.
Excuse me. I'm just trying to tell a story here.
No, you're fine. My freaking dog Lily needs food. Hold on.
You should kill her.
Give me one freaking second. All right, I'm back. I'm assuming that whatever Mac told you about my genitalia is 100% accurate.
I actually did not say a word. I tried to think of something to say and couldn't, so.
Damn it.
No one time you could have like predicted that I was going to say something. I don't.
I know. And I thought it was going to be really funny because, I'm sure you were going to talk about like, my tiny penis or my mangled scrotum or whatever. And I was going to be like, yep, everything was 100% accurate. And you didn't.
Fun fact, Mike's testicles actually look like 5 toes hanging down.
Oh, gross, dude.
You already said whatever I said was accurate, so.
Gross. Oh, man. That's funny. Of course.
So anyway, what I was going to say before I was so rudely interrupted.
Yes, continue.
Obviously, and a lot of people know, obviously, that I'm a massive fan of One Piece.
Correct.
But I realize that some of our viewers, particularly the ones that are in your circle, might not know what the fuck One Piece actually is.
Yeah, my friend Tim thought it was a video game.
It is not. So I'll do a little explaining here. I want to give you a little exposition on what One Piece is, so I can talk about something that happened recently in vague terms without spoilers, because it's important to me, and I think it's a really big deal. One Piece is a manga series written and illustrated by a guy named Eiichiro Oda, and it first began serialization in Weekly Shonen Jump in, I believe, 1997. So it's been going for a very, very long time.
That's about 25 years.
One Piece is older than I am, so that's a pretty long time to be writing one story. And a lot of people look at that and think it's like super long, and it is, but it's actually not unusually long in the world of manga. There's a lot of other really successful manga out there that are long or longer. It's just kind of, they release on a weekly schedule. They're all like written and illustrated. It's like a small number of pages per week. So, you don't get a ton of content in a very quick way. It's kind of, it's similar to the way that comics release here in the West.
Okay.
But generally speaking, comics release in volumes once a month. Manga releases in chapters once a week. So you can think of it almost like that. It'd be like, how Superman's been coming out since like the 60s or whatever. That's One Piece.
It's kind of like how like network television shows work, where you get like an episode a week. And then
right, but there's almost never a break. Like you don't get seasons; it just keeps going.
Well, I mean, yeah, I get that, but like, I don't know. Yes, you get part of the story every week. That was my point.
Yes, you get part of the story every week, except for like, in these days the author's health is not the best, so he takes 1 week off a month, so we get 3 chapters a month, basically.
Okay.
So a lot of people have been following the story for a very, very long time. I have been following the story since I was 15. So it's been almost 9 years since I started reading One Piece. I wasn't reading where it was coming out at that point. I was reading what already existed. And like, I compared just before this, I just compared like the release schedule of One Piece to the release schedule of something like Superman. The difference between Superman and One Piece is that like Superman like has like a bunch of different not connected at all stories and has gone off in all kinds of different directions where there's like all kinds of different mini universes of Superman. One Piece is just one long continuous story for the past 20 some odd years.
Okay.
25 years, I believe you said.
Actually maybe a better thing to compare it to, and I'm not trying to make this sound negative, but it's kind of like a soap opera.
In a way.
I mean, soap operas are like daily, Monday through Friday, and they don't have seasons. They just run continuously. Like,
I didn't know that. I don't know. I don't really know a lot about soap operas.
Yeah.
I'm not a frequent viewer.
I mean, I'm not a frequent viewer. I mean, I remember growing up as a kid, my mom used to watch, she used to watch All My Children every day. And I know there's like a few other ones, like General Hospital's like a big one. But those are just one long running continuous story. And some of those have been on for like 30 plus years.
Fair enough.
Okay, that's all.
Okay. Yeah. So think of it as something like that, I guess. It's like that, but in almost like a comic form. So, you know, again, I've been reading One Piece for a very long time. A lot of people have been reading One Piece for a very, very long time. And the thing that the author is really well known for is just like his world building. Like the world of One Piece is like this huge thing. Like you have the main character and his crew of people and they have their little adventures, but they are a part of a much larger world than just themselves. Like he's got like whole political systems, religious aspects, different like power struggles. Like there's this whole world living and breathing within the pages of One Piece. And so about, I don't know when exactly it would have started, but I would estimate about 10 years ago, he started to allude to a mystery.
Ooh.
Of sorts, a big part of the world's lore and narrative. And like, we're talking right now, chapter 1044 just came out. And we're talking, this would have started becoming a thing around chapter like 620. So we're legitimately talking like almost half of the story has been spent like slowly building up and alluding to this mystery and this whole fucking thing.
So this decade long mystery at this point.
Exactly. Yes. Like a decade long, huge part of like the world's lore and narrative.
Yeah.
And this most recent chapter, chapter 1044, answered more questions about that mystery than we have ever gotten before.
Really?
And it was absolutely insane. I have read that chapter like 5 times since it came out on Sunday, 2 days ago.
Just
because
just real quick, just for perspective, how long are these chapters? I have no idea.
Between 15 and 20 pages.
Like comic book pages, kind of? Or
yeah, I mean it's the same thing. It's panels with words on it.
Okay. 15 to 20 pages. Gotcha. All right. I was just curious.
Yeah, so I'd say the average One Piece chapter, depending on how much writing is actually in it rather than, you know, visual stuff, it can take anywhere between 5 and 15 minutes to read to give you some idea of how much One Piece there is.
Okay, yeah, because I mean, I was trying to compare it to like, I mean, I don't read comic books, but I know like, you know, the general length and thickness, that's what she said, of a comic book. But I have no idea how long like a once a week manga would be. So good.
Yeah, I would say it's between 5 and 15 minutes to read a week. It's not a lot at any given time. And like I said, One Piece has a lot of moving parts. So it's the amount that you get per week does not necessarily like answer a lot of questions, generally speaking. And, you know, the fact that he spent this many years building up this mystery is proof of that. Like we've gotten bits and pieces here and there, but we've never gotten the full picture. And we finally got a huge piece of the mystery. And so like, it's just this incredible feeling of like, oh my God, I've been along for the ride for this whole fucking thing. And oh my God, you know what I mean?
Right? Yeah. God, it's like, well, I mean, a lot of shows did this, but you can relate. It's like when we finally like meet the mother in How I Met Your Mother. Like we spend like 8 seasons like hearing about her, and then you never freaking see her until like the end.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's actually like that's a decent that's a better comparison than you might realize, because this like I'm dancing around spoilers as much as I can because there are people who listen to this podcast who do read One Piece.
Gotcha.
But it's it's pretty much like there's just been this like character or entity we've never really been sure alluded to for years and years and years, who is a big part of the world history, and we finally know to some degree who or what they are.
Nice. Well, that's cool.
And so it's been a very exciting week for me, to say the least. It was like one of the most excited I've been reading a chapter in a long time.
Nice. That's really cool.
Yeah. So that's been huge, and I just am so happy. I love One Piece so much. And every time shit like this happens, I'm just sitting there like, God, I feel validated for liking this thing, you know?
Right? Oh, good. Good for you, man. That's awesome.
Yeah. And then you know what you know what we talked about briefly, or not really briefly. You know what we talked about last week?
What did we talk about last week?
How when we were talking about Captain's Kitchen, how it didn't really feel like it'd been a month since the last time I had done Captain's Kitchen, right?
Yes.
Well, you know what else feels like it just happened?
What's that?
It feels like I just beat and talked about Sekiro. It feels like that just happened.
Yes.
And since then, I've already beaten the next game, Demon's Souls.
Damn. Because I remember when you beat it, I was like, how long is that going to take you? Like a month? And you're like, probably more like 2, or maybe you said 2.5 or something. I don't remember, but
yes.
Yes. I remember
I play those.
I remember you saying it was going to take longer than a month.
That's what I expected, because that's what's been the case for most of these games. And technically it did. I play those games once a week on Wednesday, and it took me 5 live streams, so a month and 1 week to beat it.
Okay, but you still did very well.
Yes. So, I mean, it's not necessarily like how well I did per se, but like here's what happened basically. When I talked about that, when I was starting Demon's Souls, Elden Ring was just about to release, and released like the week I started playing Demon's Souls. And Elden Ring, you know, I talked about how I'm really excited to play Elden Ring, but I'm avoiding spoilers like crazy because everybody's playing it right now. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody's doing it. But I did really want to play Elden Ring, right?
Yeah.
So when I was streaming Demon's Souls, I was making a conscious effort to stream a little bit longer than usual so that I could get through Demon's Souls faster.
Nice.
So that is part of the reason that I was able to get it done so quickly. You know, generally speaking, I stream about 3-hour blocks. And when I was playing Demon's Souls, it was an average of 4 hours. So, you know, when you take all of those streams into consideration, that's like an extra stream and a half that I did in those streams.
Yeah. Okay. Right on.
So that's how I was able to beat Demon's Souls so quick. And then like I was so excited about Elden Ring, I couldn't even wait the week to play it the next like FromSoft day. So I played it over the weekend. I played my first Elden Ring live stream. I played for 8 hours. I streamed for 8 hours straight.
Damn. What day was that? Was that Saturday or Sunday?
That was Saturday. And then on Sunday, I played it for an additional 6 hours.
Okay. I checked in with you on Sunday.
Yes.
Yep.
So I was already like pretty deep in at that point.
Nice. So Elden Ring is the most recent and the last one in the series that you have to play?
That is correct. It came out on the 22nd, I believe, of February, and there's no other games after this. This is the last one.
Nice. That'll be cool.
Yeah, it's a big deal because I can make that video I've been wanting to work on, but I can also just play Elden Ring, which is so far a phenomenal game and looking to be much larger than the rest. You know, I dunked 12 hours into it already, which for every other game would mean I'm about like halfway through it.
Yeah.
About generally, but it really and like Demon's Souls, I looked at the timer because all those games, they like track how long you've been playing. It took me about 18 hours to beat that one. So if I'd played Demon's Souls for 12 hours straight when I first started playing it, I would have had it almost beat by then. But with Elden Ring, I still very much feel like I'm at the beginning.
I mean, that's kind of good though, right? Like
No, it's great. It's really exciting.
Okay, good. Yeah. Like when you're really into something, you really want it to last.
Yeah. So I'll talk about Demon Souls because I'm talking about each game on the podcast a little bit. Before I talk about Elden Ring a tiny little bit, I'll talk about Elden Ring. But Demon Souls was interesting. Demon Souls was the first one of the games that came out. The only reason I played it last is because I was playing the remake that came out on PS5 a couple years ago. Demon Souls was interesting because I felt surprised by how much they got right on the first try.
Okay.
Like, it feels like there are aspects of the Souls design that they got right in Demon Souls, and then they regressed and got wrong in Dark Souls and Dark Souls 2.
I gotcha. All right. Right on.
But it was an interesting game. It was very different from a lot of the others because, like, the big thing that these games are kind of known for is, like, the way their worlds are built. They have very interconnected worlds where you'll be progressing, like in Dark Souls, for example. One of the first areas you go through is an area called Undeadburg.
Okay.
And when you go through Undeadburg, you reach like the first bonfire, which is the first checkpoint. You play through the whole area, you beat the boss, and then you go up onto this bridge, which is like the start of the next area, and you go underneath the bridge. And underneath the bridge, there is a ladder that you can kick down that leads back to that first bonfire. So like it's that kind of thing where like each level is connected to one another. There's like a very small number of checkpoints because you reuse the same checkpoints for large chunks of the game. And there's like another area, a place called the Undead Parish, and from the Undead Parish, you can access 3 different areas of the game and it's all connected together. And so every game has that design to some extent where the world is interconnected to some degree, even if it's not as much as it is with Dark Souls. Demon Souls is weird because they had like 5 completely separate levels rather than having them all connected together.
Oh, huh. Okay.
But like, I mean, I kind of have mixed feelings on that approach because what they did is they essentially said, like, here are the 5 levels. You can go to any of them whenever you want. They gave you 0 direction on which one you should or should not choose first. They just gave you access to all of them right away. And so immediately that's kind of cool because it's like, oh, I can go whichever way I want. And like on different playthroughs, I can start wherever I want to instead.
Yeah.
But it's kind of not like that because there is very clearly certain levels that are much harder than others that you're not supposed to do until later.
Huh. Okay.
And so I'm torn on it because on one end of the thing, like, on subsequent playthroughs, you could go through later areas in the game to get items you want more with that just because you have higher skill and can get through those harder areas better. But on a first playthrough, it's really frustrating because you'll be bashing your head against like a certain area of the game only to realize, oh, I am hopelessly underleveled for this area. I should be going somewhere else right now.
Huh. All right. Right on. I like it. And
then, yeah, it was interesting, but it was a good game. I liked Demon Souls. It's definitely not my favorite in the series, but I did like Demon Souls. And that's my Demon Souls story. And now I'm playing Elden Ring, and Elden Ring is interesting because it does have an interconnected world, but it's the first open world game. So it has a similar thing to Demon Souls where there are a lot of different areas that you could approach however you want.
Okay.
The only difference being that they're connected together and you don't have to like, but there's just not like an entire level in the way of getting between them. So I'm really liking it so far, but it also kind of has that issue. I spent about 4 hours fighting a boss and finally beating it, and it was really hard. And then I like turned around and I looked at the rest of the level, and I looked at the rest of the world, and I realized there was a lot more I could have done before fighting him. And I realized I was really underleveled when I was fighting him. So kind of has the same issue right now where, like, yes, for a higher skill level player, it's nice to be able to just go straight there. But for me, who's just started the game, it was kind of frustrating to realize, like, oh, there was so much more I could have done before doing this, and it would have been a lot less frustrating.
Yeah. God, I can't think of what game or games specifically were like that. But I remember back in my video game playing days, like there would be games that like I knew I could beat, and the goal was, you know, like, I mean, I don't want to call it like a quote unquote speed run because I wasn't beating it that quickly, but like my goal was to beat it in a short amount of time. And like I would just try to get to the end as quick as possible and not like pick up stuff that actually would have helped me just because I wanted to try to get it done. So I get that whole idea.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting thing. It's an interesting approach that like I don't think I've seen a single developer really, I don't know, find an answer to the problem very well yet, because like the major solutions I've seen have never really worked. Like Breath of the Wild is a great example. Breath of the Wild is a Legend of Zelda game, the most recent Legend of Zelda game, and it has a completely open world with like 5 different major areas that are like the areas where you get to complete objectives, and you can go to any of them whenever you want. But the way that they handle the kind of difficulty scaling issue is that they have kind of like a base world difficulty that scales with you as the player based on how upgraded you are and how good your equipment is. So like, you know, in the starting area, you'll have like the weakest enemies in the game, and you can go to an area that is all the way on the other side of the map, and it will have the same weak as hell enemies. But then 40 hours later, you can go back to those same areas and they have much harder enemies because you are more like geared up for that. And that does work to an extent.
Yeah.
The issue with that system is that the way that they achieved that was creating versions of the exact same enemy that have more health and do more damage, but they're still like the same enemy, right? So you learn the attack patterns of a certain enemy at hour 1, and then 40 hours later, you're fighting the same enemy, and it's like they're harder because they have more health and they do more damage, but they're easier because I have been fighting them over and over and over again for the past 40 hours.
Well, right, and presumably you're stronger as well, correct?
You are, yes. So like you're like at their level. So, but in a sense, like they are as hard to you as you were when you first met them, and it's not a great system, you know. Legend of Zelda or Breath of the Wild did it pretty well, and I've seen other games do it in like the same way, and it definitely did it better than others, but that's really not an appropriate response to that issue. And like with Breath of the Wild coming out later, Breath of the Wild 2 coming out later this year, like the major complaint that game got was the lack of enemy variety because of that exact issue. You fight the same 4 enemies throughout the entire game, more or less, and they just get harder as you progress through the game. And it's like, ugh. Yeah, but I know how they fight, so they aren't actually harder.
Yeah, that's kind of boring.
Yeah, so like you need to see like a lot more enemy variety to make that kind of thing work. So, you know, then we look back at Elden Ring, which is a very similar style of open world game. And you know, Elden Ring doesn't have enemy strength scale with you, and it does have a really high variety of enemies. So like, you know, you're not fighting this same enemies for 40 hours, but there are very clearly areas of the game that you can go to that you really shouldn't. And that's it's kind of disappointing because like I can cite a specific example too. I was playing Elden Ring, and like there's this entire open world area above that is like this. It's mostly grass fields with the occasional ruins, and there's a lot of things to see and explore. It's really interesting, but visually it can be very samey. It can look very much the same throughout the entire like that section of the game. And so I found this area where I was able to go really far underground, and they created this insane underground area. There's like a big underground castle hanging down from the ceiling of this massive cave, and the entire like top of the cave. Yeah, it's super cool. And like the entire top of the cave is like lit up with like strange white lights that look like stars. So it looks like a night sky, but it's actually just like the top of this cave. And then, you know, on the bottom, there is like plants growing like where you're walking around. So there's like plant life, and there's like rivers and stuff. So it almost feels like its own separate like above ground area, but it's actually just underneath the first area. And it's so cool. It's so interesting. I want to explore it so bad, but I was getting my ass kicked because all the enemies were too strong. And it was really disappointing because it's like, I'm kind of tired of this above ground area. I want to check this place out, but I'm too weak.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know what the solution to that issue is. I'm not a game developer. I'm just saying there is an issue.
I gotcha. Right on. Oh, nice.
So yeah, all of that to loop back to your original question. I am still making steady progress on my Chainsaw Man video. I have been a bit distracted and I slowed down a little bit this week.
Right on, man. It's all good. Yeah. Yeah. Shit happens. I was just curious how what our status update was.
Yeah. It's been a very exciting week.
I've got another LaCroix review for us this week.
Woo! Yeah!
Getting wild up in here.
LaCroix review, let's go, boys!
Welcome back. Time for our LaCroix review of the week.
We should get a theme song made for that.
We should. we should. That would be great. Ideally, we would be singing something. And then, I don't know, if we know someone who's musically inclined, maybe they can compose some music for us. But this past week, I had the LaCroix peach pear flavor. And I gotta say, peach pear, 2 thumbs up in the air, bro. That was a solid flavor.
I have a love-hate relationship with the way that you just did that.
Yeah, no, I kind of do too. That was not my plan. None of anything that was just said was my plan. It just kind of flowed out that way. So, yeah.
Well, I'm glad you liked it nonetheless.
Yeah. No, thank you. I love how we just go with shit and like the other person just fucking runs with it.
Yeah. Michael listened to me talk about One Piece, which he does not care about at all, for like 20 minutes.
Yeah, 20, 40, I don't know how many minutes it was. It was a while.
I like, legitimately speaking, I very much plan whenever One Piece completes, and it will complete because it's getting there. It is getting there. Like this mystery that recently got solved, this mystery getting solved is very much indicative of the fact that One Piece is drawing to a close. I do eventually plan to make a video on it, and I fully expect that video to be 4 hours long.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't.
There's just so much to talk about. I
wouldn't be surprised. Oh my gosh! I just thought of something. Sorry. I should have mentioned this earlier, but I forgot it. When I was talking about my coworker Brian, who has started listening to the podcast, the reason that I knew that he listened to the new episode was because he sent me a text and it was a picture of his penis.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's how I knew. No,
was it professionally taken though?
It was not.
Come on.
He wasn't even cradling his balls.
Come on. Weak.
Good fucking
way to show Ophelia don't care.
Good fucking Lord, I can't wait for him to listen to this. No, but the reason he sent me a text was it just said that his dad eats cereal with orange juice and cuts up fruit into it.
No fucking way. Okay, cutting up fruit into it is one thing, but bro, come on.
Hey, don't shoot.
Am I the only sane one here?
I don't. Okay, I have not tried it. I'm just saying I think it has some potential. And that
I do not.
It might be okay. That's all I'm saying.
There's a potential of my fist going in your mouth right now, Mike.
Well, there's a potential of my fist going in your ass right now, but
Don't promise me with don't threaten me with a good time, Mike.
Exactly. No, I don't know. So my whole thing was I thought maybe it might be okay, but Brian apparently tells me that his father regularly does that on his own already. And so that's how I knew he was listening to the episode.
Well, Brian, I hope your dad, I'm not going to say that.
Yeah,
no, I will. I hope your dad is also dead along with you.
Wow. Jesus. Man, come on, man. This is my coworker. If he
coworker, I hardly know her.
No, but seriously, like, do you really think that
don't make fun of my friend. You sound like a nerd right now.
No, but bro,
I'm gonna give you a fucking swirly loser.
Bro, listen to what I have to say. Do you think
listen to these nuts?
Do you think I really want
got him,
my coworker to die? You know why I would be upset about that? Because
you'd have to do more work.
Yes, I'd have to do more work. So Brian, please don't die. Oh, God. See, Mac.
Not until we find your replacement.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, once we find your replacement, then I don't give a fuck what happens to you. But yeah, Mac, see, you didn't even let me get to the fucking point of my story. God.
Go ahead.
No, I mean, that was the point of my story. We got there eventually, but you wouldn't let me fucking finish.
There's been a lot of tangents today. What do you want from me?
It's all right. I like when we get on tangents. Speaking of tangents and speaking of people who listen.
Let's talk about trigonometry.
Speaking of people who listen to us.
Mike, are you not going to acknowledge my hilarious math joke?
Yeah, no, it's great. Thanks. I was more of a... Oh, bro, really? You're going to burp on the podcast?
I just didn't feel like that was a very genuine reaction.
Really? You're going to...
If you didn't like it, just be honest with me.
If I didn't like your burp?
No, the joke.
It was all right, man. It was all right.
Welcome to Breakroom Nachos, the most all-right comedy podcast around.
Yeah, it was great. Mac, I loved your joke. It was fantastic.
See, now you just sound like the girls who tell me I have a big dick.
Okay, yeah, but you do.
I mean, as far as I've been told.
Exactly. So have all of us. No, I was just gonna say, so this is kind of goofy, but it kind of went from me bringing this up being like nerdy to this potentially being fucking hilarious. So a couple episodes ago, I brought up that I saw we had a listen from New Zealand, right? And
yeah,
you know, I pay attention. I'll check a couple times a week. I'll see, like, I'll just take a look at where our listens come from. And the way it's set up, it doesn't tell us how many times we've been played from a specific area. It just gives us a percentage. Well, typically whenever there's like a new location, it adds it to the bottom of the list. And I thought, okay, well, it just adds locations in order. No big deal. Well, a couple weeks ago, I noticed that New Zealand was popped up for the first time, and it was at the bottom. And as far as our international listens go, I mean, they're mostly, it's mostly the US, Canada, UK, and Germany. And then everybody else every other country, which there actually are like another like 15 or 16 countries. But they're all like less than 1% of our listens. And
I hope those countries get invaded by Russia.
Well, one of them is Russia. We do not have any listens from the Ukraine. So I don't know what's going on with that.
Maybe Russia should win this one. I don't know.
But no, like typically I think it's like, you know, one person finds us somehow on accident and starts listening to an episode, and then that's it. But I think that within the same percentage, I think they rank the country or state or city based on number of listens within that same percentage. So like our buddy Andre, he went to Brazil and he listened to a few episodes. It wasn't our first international listen, but it's less than 1% of our total, but that's the first one listed. Well, I noticed that New Zealand popped like halfway up that list. And I don't know, maybe that only means that two people have listened instead of one. It might not mean all that much, but in my head, I played out the scenario that someone listened, I noticed it, I brought it up to you, and then we then proceeded to call everyone in New Zealand sheep fuckers. And then they listened to that episode. So, I don't know. I know that got super long-winded for that, like, tiny joke, but there's a potential that we, like, turned on a group of listeners in New Zealand, mostly because of our huge penises. But because we're so funny, and then instantly alienated them because we called them sheep fuckers like the next episode. So
they could not fuck sheep. That's an option.
Yeah, I mean, that is true. Okay, well, first of all, if you're listening from New Zealand, whether you fuck sheep or not, thank you for listening. That's great. Go ahead, Mac.
I just burped. I think I've said my piece.
Oh, okay. So if any of you from New Zealand are listening and you guys want to comment or are willing to comment on either Instagram or whatever the other ones are, you know, you guys know where our accounts are. You listen all the time. Twitter, YouTube, wherever you want to get at us. You guys are called kiwis, and you have that bird kiwi that looks like the fruit kiwi. Is the fruit named after the bird, or is the bird named after the fruit?
Yes.
That puzzles me. And do you like being called kiwis? Or do you prefer sheep fucker?
I would assume they prefer sheep.
I mean, I would too. I would too. Who wouldn't, honestly? Let's be honest. We're gonna appreciate being called the sheep fucker. No one wants to be called a fucking kiwi. But yeah, in Australia, go ahead, give us a shout out. And let us know. Let us know the whole kiwi situation. I don't really know how that all went about, but I like the fruit and the birds are pretty cool, but I don't know. It's about all I got with that.
Man, I was going to say something about New Zealand, but I completely blanked on what I was going to say. So that's a really interesting thing I just brought up.
This is not something that we normally talk about, but I'm going to bring it up because
Genocide.
All right. Where do you want to start? Go for it.
Well, I was just thinking about we should like read. I'm not going to go.
No,
Let's get this joke.
No. I really don't care.
I don't care for genocide personally. It's not for me. I'll take it or leave it.
I mean, personally, it's not my thing, but if you're into it, that's your choice.
And someone else's pain.
Exactly. So it's not affecting me. Do whatever the fuck you want.
Just have fun with it. Just really have fun with it. That's the most important thing of all.
Right. No, I was just gonna bring it up. I don't care about this in the slightest, but what's your take on this whole Will Smith slapping situation? Because that's very topical right now.
I kind of don't give a shit.
I really don't either. I just thought maybe you'd have something to say.
No, the first time I saw people were blowing up about it, I looked at it and I was like, why do people care? This was clearly fucking scripted. And then I actually watched it for myself and I'm like, I mean, there's a chance this wasn't scripted, but either way, I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, scripted or not, I mean, if it's scripted, it's one thing. That's whatever. That's stupid because to script anything like that is dumb.
Kind of lame.
But if it's not scripted, like, yeah, I get it. You probably shouldn't make that joke, but like, as like a grown ass adult, you don't just get up and slap someone. You know? Like,
yeah. I saw Jim Carrey was like really dunking on Will Smith. He I mean, like, I think some people are taking it way too seriously. Like people, I mean, for one thing, people take the Oscars too seriously anyway. It's a dumb awards show. Just like every awards show, it's purely political. It does not represent the actual beliefs of moviegoers at that time and place. It's absurd. It's like, you know, movies or actors that win Oscar nominations are not necessarily the most deserving. They're the most seen. That's my opinion on it. You know, you're never going to see an indie movie at the Oscars unless that indie movie blows up and gets mainstream success. So award shows are stupid for that reason alone.
I mean, I won't say, okay, I understand what you're trying to say. And I agree with the premise. I think you're right. It's movies that get some kind of like hype or publicity or, you know, press, that kind of thing. But I mean, some of these movies are, I mean, the movies nominated are generally not like top grossing box office movies. And some of them,
no,
and some,
that's not what I meant either, but,
and some of them do have like a pretty limited run at the theater. So sometimes they do kind of border a little on indie films. Like I'll look at the list of nominees and it's like 10 films and I'll have only heard of like 6 or 7 of them. So, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I feel like you're right in saying that it's all very political, but and maybe technically independent films don't necessarily get their representation, but at the same time, I think it goes the opposite way. I think all the attention goes to the like the clever artsy film. Whereas you could have like the funniest movie ever made and it's not going to get nominated because they're like, well, it's a fucking comedy. That's not a good film. It's not going to be like Best Picture. They're all dramas or, you know, something of that ilk. I just said ilk.
Yeah, that's true too.
So, I mean, I don't know, like, thinking of just like a stupid ass movie. Like the movie Step Brothers is funny as hell, but it's a shitty movie. Like that movie probably, I mean, even factoring in how funny it is, at most, I could give it an 8. And that's just because I find it to be hilarious. The actual like plot and everything that goes on are fucking stupid. It's probably like a 4, but it's just, it makes you laugh. But that could be like the funniest movie ever made. And some like half-ass drama's gonna win Best Picture because it's more artistic and viewed as a better film. So it's political, but it goes both ways, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just not a fan of award shows in general. I don't like the idea of nominating any single thing to be the best of anything at any given time, especially when it's so limited in terms of like what is being seen and with everything being so subjective. I think people put way too much weight behind it. People care way too much about it. Like, who cares what movie wins Best Picture? What was your Best Picture this year? That's what I care about personally. So that's just kind of my take on it. I think award shows in general are pretty dumb. For that reason alone, for like artistic mediums where it's so up to interpretation, I just don't like the idea of people being like, well, this movie won Best Picture, so it's the best picture. And like, obviously that's not how a lot of people view it, but there are people who take it way too seriously who are like, well, it didn't win Best Picture, did it? And it's like, that doesn't mean anything.
Right. I mean, more or less the only like real weight I put into anything that wins Best Picture is if I go in watching it, it should probably be at least a good movie. Maybe it's not the best movie in the world, you know, or the best movie of the year, but if it,
well, that's why I'm all for like that's why I'm all for like film and like video game critique. You know, that's like I listen to a lot of game reviews personally, just casually all the time, just because it kind of gives me a better idea of like what I should value in video games, or at least what other people are valuing in video games. But you know, it's the same thing with video games. There's a big video game show every year. I'm actually blanking on the name right now, but they name like a bunch of things like best voice acting, best game of the year, best soundtrack, whatever. And people get really bent out of shape over what wins and what doesn't. Like, I remember a couple years ago, the game The Last of Us 2 won like a bunch of awards, and people were really pissed about it because a lot of people didn't like The Last of Us 2. And it's like, okay, that doesn't make the games that you liked any worse. So why do you care?
Right. No, I get that. Yeah, for sure.
And like I'm seeing all these like reactions to this whole Will Smith versus Chris Rock thing, and people are being like, Will Smith ruined the sanctity of the Oscars, and it's like, why do you care? Shut up.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to speculate too much on like whether it was real or whether it was staged, because I watched like one video and read like 2 articles, and I thought, I don't really care enough to read any more about this.
Yeah.
But I mean, the one video I saw, it like Chris Rock told the joke, the camera panned to Will Smith, he was laughing, and then the camera showed like his wife like shooting daggers at him, and then the next thing you know, he's slapping Chris Rock. So I don't know. It seemed like, I don't know that slap at that moment was planned, but it seemed like maybe Will Smith and his wife had something planned at some point where he was gonna cause some sort of scene and get publicity. Because I mean,
I don't know.
I mean, if you think about it, like, dude, he won an Oscar later in the night. Like, he's at like the peak. He can take some shitty publicity. And
yeah, for sure.
And I mean, I don't really know anything about her. Her as in his wife.
His wife.
But I mean, she just comes across looking as the victim in everything and looks fantastic as like, oh, like this happened to me. I can't help this. And so, like, I don't know. Maybe he took a bullet for her. I can see that being a thing, but I don't think they actually like staged that specific moment for him to slap Chris Rock. But I do think that there was maybe the idea to cause some sort of scene at some point. So
I can see that.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't really get into conspiracies. I'm not our old coworker Tim, but I don't know. I can see there being something weird about that. Cuz he seemed fine with it until he was the complete opposite of fine. So yeah.
I really don't know what to think. I don't really care. It's just dumb celebrities doing dumb celebrity shit. People wouldn't care if it was just two random dudes at like a comedy club.
No, nobody would give a fuck. That's the world we live in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah. Oh, I know we're running late on time here, but I did start watching a new show recently.
You just watched the show last week. What are you doing? Get some work done. Go work out. Get buff.
Bruh. The show I watched last week was only 6 episodes. They were a half hour each. It was 3 hours. It was like a fucking movie.
Get a job, Mike.
I have a job, bro. But no, I was going to tell you about this because I actually think you might enjoy this show. It's on CBS, and you can also watch it on I don't know, Pluto TV, I don't know, one of those streaming services. But it's called Ghosts. And a couple of the reasons why I wanted to bring this up is it like the humor touches on a lot of stuff that we find funny. So, real quick premise, this girl and her husband inherit a house and it's haunted by a bunch of ghosts that have died on the property throughout the history of the world. So there's like a Viking and like an 80s Wall Street guy and you know, there's all these people, right? So, on occasion, you know, new people will die in this house. And if they end up going to heaven and not becoming a ghost, this is fucking great. All the ghosts call it getting sucked off.
Of course, classic.
Yeah, and like the girl that's living, she can see all the ghosts and communicate with them. I'm not gonna get into why she can. That's too much into the plot. But she was like, she was talking to one of the ghosts. She's like, do they realize what they're saying when they're saying, I really wish I could get sucked off right now? And the guy was like, dude, I get it. Just don't say anything. Leave this for me. This is all I have to go on in life. Well, not even life, because he's a ghost. And then in one episode, one of the ghosts like yells something at a new ghost that had appeared. and he got sucked down into hell, and they refer to that as he went down on us.
Nice.
And I fucking love that. He went down on us getting sucked off, and then the last thing, there's the one character is a Viking, and I don't know, someone was talking about something, and he brought up like, what's a personal massage? Or like, what's a personal massager? And that was only funny to me because we had that episode about giving vibrators to Vikings. So yeah, I thought that was like too fucking perfect. I'll have to see if I can find a clip of that and send it to you. Yeah, because it's a Viking talking about a vibrator. So right up our alleys.
Nice. Yeah, there's I really haven't had time to watch any shows or anything because I've just been so focused on the video, and when I'm not working on the video, I'm streaming Elden Ring. So, but it's actually funny, like when I read new chapters of manga, I turn on my TV and I like play some music through it while I read. And I always have it really low volume so it's not too loud while I'm reading. And when I laid down to read this week, I noticed that my TV was still at a low volume, so I had not turned it off in the week since like the last chapter had come on.
Oh, damn.
So yeah, your boy's just been grinding out, and like I'm not making like a ton of fast progress. Like I still have a lot of the video to go, but like this video is good. It's gonna be fucking good. I'm very excited about it.
Nice. Hell yeah, man. Do we have like an ETA for when that might be out?
No, not at all. Any ETA I could give right now would be very poorly estimated because I've already like missed estimates on like certain, like I'd be like, I want to be at this point in the video by the end of the week, and I wouldn't be even remotely close, even though I was still like constantly working on it. So it's just, when I wrote this script, I came up with a lot of like parts of the video that require very complex edits, and I don't think I realized how much it was going to weigh down my editing process. And I don't regret that, because they're very much strengthening the video, but it is throwing off my estimates. So I have no ETA at this moment.
All right, right on. I was just curious if you could tease our listeners and give a little plug on when it might be out. But no,
I'll definitely, like, once I'm getting close to the end, I will start to talk about it. But right now, like, I'm approaching 1/3 of the way through the total edit. So to give you some idea.
Right on, man. You do you. Make it the best video you can, and then put it out. Don't rush it just to get it out, just to get something out, you know?
Never. Not me. Oh, I hit 5,000 subscribers. We're not going to talk about that?
I did see that. Congrats, bro.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
That's a big one.
Yeah, I saw you posted I don't know, yesterday or maybe 2 days ago, you were at what, like 5,003 subscribers or something?
Yeah, it was like right after it ticked over.
Nice. Well, good on you, man. That's awesome.
It's a massive milestone, so I'm really excited about that.
Mac, I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
And the fact that
I'm proud of me too.
And the fact that you're better than a doctor, because I presume you've had sex within the last 3 years. So, hell yeah.
Absolutely. End of podcast.